Hi, my name is Matt, and I'm here to tell you that it gets better. I knew from a very young age, 4, 5 years old, that I was gay. I don't know that I would have put it in those terms, but I definitely knew I was different from the other kids. I always sort of had a hard time making friends. Uh, I was a little chubby, so that didn't help either, as you can imagine. Never really was interested in the same things. Loved to read, loved to draw, um, but really didn't had a hard time connecting with other kids. I always had maybe one or two really good friends, um, but never really felt like I fit in. Um, and wasn't the easiest thing in the world. And it only got harder as I got older. By the time I was in high school, I was really depressed. I had some good friends, but still felt very, very alone. Uh, didn't feel like I had anyone I could talk to. And growing up, I had great parents. They really um, were so supportive of me in a lot of different ways, um, and but I didn't ever feel like I could trust them. As it turns out, as I got older, that was probably not a fair assumption. But there's something about being gay as a kid that if you're watching this, maybe you feel this way, that you are living in a kind of bubble, and you think that you're the only one who is living the way that you are, getting picked on. I got picked on a ton in grade school, and as I went into high school, it became less being picked on and more being talked about or pointed at. It was much more subtle, but I kept my head down. I worked real hard. I remember taking these walks at night when I was in high school and just thinking over and over about all the places I was going to go if I could just hold on. Um, you know, I, I have to admit, I spent a good amount of time in high school thinking about killing myself. Certainly, I'm really, really lucky that I never got to that point. But I was felt so alone, and it wasn't anyone's fault. Other than maybe a few really assholey type high schoolers who today, I they're not even a blip on my radar. I finished high school. Um, I was able to confide in a few friends, people that were, as I left high school, were really, really close to me. And every time I did, I was rewarded for doing so. I never I was smart enough to know who I could trust and waited for that type of person. And I looked for those type of people. And that's a little bit about what you have to do when you're different. Whether it's you're gay or you're smart or you're have talents or other that other people just mostly don't have in the norm. You've got to search out people who can be your community. I got to college and I did just that. By the time I was a junior and senior in college, I was had some great opportunities to get away and sort of find myself in a really safe place. And I came back really determined to be honest with my friends and my family. I was really honest. My two best friends I was living with at the time were completely supportive. They saw me through what's probably the most exciting and hardest year of my life, the year I was coming out. There are people that I spent time with that year who probably have no idea how influential they were to me. Um, but people, guys who would go with me to a gay bar for the first time, or even just talk about being gay with me. I mean, it's just unbelievable how much of an impact that has that no one really realizes. I did come out to my parents that fall. Funnily enough, I waited till my last tuition payment was in, because if there's one thing I have to say is, is even when you think everything's going to go well, you want to be sure that you're taken care of, that you're protected. You want to be safe. You want to be careful. And sure, and if that means waiting a little longer, life is long, God willing. And A lot of those years I just spent a lot of time thinking about what my life could be. As it turns out, I told my parents, and of course they went through um, the usual sadness and fear and worry, but I never got um, disappointment, and I never got hatred, and I never got um, anything of that type of negative um, from them, and they really came through for me. I should have known they would, um, but it's hard to tell. It's hard to tell when you live in that bubble. And if there's something I can tell you is that make it through as best as you can. And if that means keeping your head down, maybe that's it. Maybe if it means finding the people who are really going to help you, do that. Um, as it turns out, I met the love of my life right after college. 12 years now, living together, married 5 years ago in Toronto, legally married by a judge. Best day of my life. And it keeps getting better. And we have a wonderful home. I've got a great job. He's got a great job. We have two families that love and care for us. Um, Knowing that they'll be there when we want to start our own family and they'll support that, it is really just unbelievable. And but it's not. We're not the only ones. When I was a kid, there was no internet. There was. I mean, I'm not that old, but there really was no internet like there is today. There was no way to find other people who um, were experiencing the same thing as you, or living the same life, or going through the same troubles. Nobody is. We talk about how people are unique, and yes, people are unique, but nobody is so unique that there's not someone out there who can understand what you're going through. And if you can carefully find those people, it can make things go a little easier. But in the end, no matter what you're going through, no matter how hard it is, and how much hurt there is, it gets better. And I'm definitely living proof of that. And my family's living proof of that. And that's really just what I want to say. Uh, Hang in there, and it gets better.